What's up, guys? I'm Chelsea Hernandez, music editor at Swagger RS, and you're now tuned into my podcast, Time Out, where I have conversations with music related subjects about their workings in music. Hey, y'all, what's up? It's Chelsea Hernandez, music editor with Swagger RS, and you are tuned into Time Out. And today we have a special guest, Anise. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. Thank God. Just happy to be here. It's an honor.
That's great. I'm so glad to have you on. I really, I think most of the artists that I have on here, I genuinely love your music, and I followed you on TikTok first. That's how I found you. And then started listening to your music, and there's not one song that I don't absolutely love. So
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
TikTok is the plug. TikTok is the plug.
It really is. It connects you to so many great artists. I mean, I have found a bunch of great people, just a bunch of talented people on there. So yeah, I love it. And thank you for posting content on there. Otherwise we wouldn't,
No other way these days.
Yeah, that's true. So you grew up in Washington, DC, right?
In Northern Virginia. So in the DC area.
Okay. What was that like? Like, how did that influence your taste in music? What did you grow up listening to?
I think the thing that influenced my taste most was the exposure to different types of music. In particular, my parents raised me listening to a wide palette of music. So like, in the house, there'd be Jim Croce, there'd be Nina Simone, there'd be James Taylor, there'd be Norah Jones, there'd be Lauryn Hill. So, there was just a wide range of musical tastes constantly being sort of swirling in my brain as a kid.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of what cultivated my interest in lyricism and in music.
Cool. So like, out of, I guess, those people that you mentioned, who would inspire you the most?
Oh man, you're asking me to pick between Jim Croce and Lauryn Hill, and I think I probably had to go with Lauryn Hill.
Okay. Yeah, so good.
The
So
Queen,
good.
the greatest
Yeah,
example
gorgeous too.
of hip hop and vocals in the same package. She's just
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Um, so I I always wonder this. How old are you?
28.
You're 28? Okay, so we're about the same age. Did you have an emo face growing up?
I wouldn't say so, but I always had some guilty pleasure Paramore songs.
I was literally just listening to Paramore before you signed on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I had an emo phase, but there were some Paramore songs that, I just like sneak listen to on my iPod. Um, yeah, not other than them, I think my only other guilty pleasure was maybe like the Dixie Chicks.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
they were
random. It's
so
not punk.
good.
It's not punk at all, but they still have
No.
that energy though. They have that defiant energy of punk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There were some really good girls. I mean, they were, so iconic in my opinion. I loved them growing up.
100%.
Um, is anybody in your family like musically inclined, or like
Yeah. Yeah.
who?
So my sister is like an excellent piano player.
Oh,
And
nice.
and my dad, he's just like this like untrained musical savant. Like he can play drums,
Oh,
piano, he can play like the Arabic, like derbeki or tabla, you might have heard it called. He can play so many random different instruments and even like the flute. It's very
oh,
bizarre.
cool. So
But
you
he
grew up
wasn't.
in like a musical household.
Yeah, but see, I never had a knack for an instrument. So for me, I think that's where words came into play. I think they became my instrument.
Okay. So when did you like start discovering that you wanted to do music or could write music? How did that happen?
Probably subconsciously, I discovered it playing word games growing up. So I loved playing like Scrabble, Boggle,
Interesting. Okay.
Smart Mouth, crossword puzzles. These were like my games. I really excelled and I could just not beyond the fact that I did well at them, I was thrilled by them. Like I really enjoyed if someone brought the word games out, like it was time to catch these words. Like you're not gonna beat me. And so that was really my thing. But I just randomly started freestyling at 15 years old, just like in my first car. I was sitting in my uncle's passed down 93 E-Class Benz with my best friend Yusuf in the passenger seat. And we just started freestyling randomly over other songs, like not to like a beat.
Mhm.
And that's probably the first time where I was like, okay, like, well, I'm pretty good at this. But I didn't start making music until like over 10 years later.
Wow. So did you at that from that point on, did you like decide, okay, this is what I want to do for
Nope.
good? When did that what was that process like?
Um, a lot of lying to myself for a decade. Um, the process looked like me going through high school, not sure what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
but getting to college and finding a little bit more clarity. I mean, it was all a process of like gaining clarity and gaining self-awareness.
Yeah.
In college, I was like, all right, I like deep things. So I'll study philosophy, I'll study sociology. Those don't really lend themselves to any particular career path.
Mhm.
So by the time college was over, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I went to law school and then did that for 3 years, was wildly depressed. And by the end of law school, was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I took the bar and they were like, yeah, we're going to give you your results in 3 months. So I was like, ooh, this is spicy because I really don't enjoy this. And now you're giving me 3 months to stew on whether or not I even want to do this.
Yeah.
So by the time I got my results, I had decided I was not going to practice law. I mean, I passed, but I decided I wasn't going to practice. And so at that point, it was like, all right, what should I do? How do I explain this to my family? How do I explain it to my in-laws? How do I explain this to my community?
Yeah.
That I'm not going to practice law. It was way too big of a jump in my mind to go from law to like suddenly I'm just going to make music because nobody knew that about me.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I told them all, like, yeah, I'm going to get a YouTube channel. I'm going to vlog. And I started vlogging for a little bit. And then suddenly my vlogs just started being musical, which was like sort of just like my subconscious brain informing my path. And
Mhm.
so eventually the ice just broke down and melted to the point where it was really obvious that what I wanted to do was make music. And then 2.5 years later, here I am with you.
Nice. That is such a big jump from like, I mean, philosophy to law to then music, and it must have been really scary, like, because nobody in your family knew that that was even something that you wanted to do or even had an interest in.
Exactly.
So that conversation, how was that? What was that like?
So my family's very supportive. So it wasn't like a scary conversation in the sense of like they're gonna yell at me, they're gonna disown me or whatever. It was more of like terrifying in the sense that there was this whole part of me that they had never known that was
Mhm,
suddenly going to be not only known to them, but that was going to be known to the world. And
mhm.
so I think that to me was just like a big weight that was on my shoulders for a long time. So it was actually quite relieving to tell my family because I was like, you know what? It's terrifying, but it's relieving because now I never have to hide what I really want to do with my life. I mean, I feel so terrible for the people who are not in a situation where they can do that, where they have to spend their whole lives sort of hiding who they are, whether it's their identity or their career, their passions, you know. So
Yeah.
it was actually quite relieving.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, like, I went to college for business and, like, got a job in real estate and kinda, like, just didn't, like
You know the vibes.
yeah, exactly, and then I found this and started this in, like, 2018, and it was kind of a secret that I had for a little bit, and then I told my parents, like, "Hey, I'm interviewing, like, so and so," and they're like, "What?" So it was something that they hadn't even, like, known about, and then I
Right.
recently just told the rest of my family. So,
Okay.
like, I completely understand that there is that, like, fear and that vulnerability too,
100%.
like, the world is gonna see you, and what you love.
Yeah, no, and you're not, and there's gonna be people who are gonna judge you no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, even if your family supports you, like there's gonna be extended family that maybe thinks, what the hell is he or she doing? Or they're gonna think you're gonna have friends in your community that are gonna be like, yeah, like that's great. Like, but they don't really see it as a job. They don't really see it as they just like in the back of their minds, they're thinking, yeah, when they fail this, they'll just go back to what they were doing. And
Yeah.
so, and I'm sure you dealt with that. I dealt with that as well. But I think with family, the key is like they just want to see you secure.
Mhm.
They just worry for you. So like when my family would ask questions, I didn't take it as like they don't believe in this. I took it more as like Okay, they just want to see me succeed. But like, it's like, when you have the vision, nobody else can see your vision like you can. So it's almost like you have to you have to build that vision concretely into reality until they're going to be able to take a deep breath and be like, okay, he's fine.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Like, he did this, and like he's really doing this.
Yeah. No, I completely get that. I mean, like I said, I have had the same experience. Um so I you have a website and I was reading your bio a little bit and you had mentioned in there that you believe that music is meant to like help heal others, which I completely agree with. But like has music done that for you specifically? Like has it helped you heal? Like what in what way? If you feel
What
comfortable
in
sharing
what
that.
in what ways has it not helped me heals the question? So like freestyling was always my therapy. That was always my therapy. Like I said, during law school, I was dealing with like mental health struggles. And
Mhm.
so I was just freestyling like all day long. To me, like the process. So the beautiful thing about freestyling, and I'm not talking about like writing lyrics and then reciting them. I'm talking about like going purely off top, like off the dome with it. Like you completely, in the words of Natasha Bedingfield, release your inhibitions and feel the rain on your skin. so, but the thing is, like, freestyling is terrifying to people because they're afraid to fail.
Mhm.
That's why it's very hard for me to get my friends to hop on. It's like if I'm freestyling and we're all hanging out, I'm like, yo, like spit. Like they're like, nah, no, 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 I'm good. Because
Yeah.
they're afraid to like make a fool of themselves, which I
Mhm.
understand. But the beauty of freestyling is um, once you get in the swell of it, once you sort of dive in and you sort of, you know, you dip your toes in the pool and you just dive in, like it's so freeing because you're no longer afraid about how am I going to sound? Am I going to fail? Because you realize the whole point of freestyling is failing and then just keeping,
Get better.
persevering in the craft. Because nobody freestyle, even the greatest freestyles in the world, they're not perfect. The whole point is improving when you're imperfect. And so for me, that's like been my greatest form of therapy in my darkest parts of life. And even now, because even to this day, I get anxious despite the fact that I'm seeing some results. I get anxious despite the fact that some of my songs are succeeding. I get anxious despite the fact that, my family supports me and I'm feeling like a success as an artist, but I still get anxious. And so that's where freestyling will like forever be my therapy. But even outside of me in the performative sense, um, performing music as healing, I find healing in other people's music just in like, you know, meditating to their music.
Yeah.
Like when I listen to the lyrics of India Ari, like she's like the queen of healing music. You
Mhm.
know, um, like Private Party in particular is a song of hers. Like it's I'm having a private party, no ain't nobody here but me, my angels, and my guitar singing, baby, look how far we've come. And then like the whole song is like about like reflecting on how far you've come and loving yourself and not being afraid to love yourself and not being afraid to start within. And I just think that any artist who has spoken to me on that level is the reason why I'm here, is the reason why I'm able to impact people with my own music, is the reason why I'm able to smile when I wake up in the morning. There's so many artists I could say their music has sort of spoken to my soul, whether it's like the artists I've listed or, you know, like Mac Miller
Mm.
or, maybe J. Cole or Immortal Technique, Nas.
Mhm.
Um, there's just this power of music because music is inherently spiritual.
Mm.
Even if somebody is not a quote unquote religious person, the way we use music, the way we create music is inherently an act of the spirit. It's inherent, it cannot be made without this connection to something above us because
Mhm.
that's what inspires music. And so for me, when I'm making music, it's like that's church. You know what I'm saying? That's a practice of my soul coming to life.
Yeah. You know, first of all, wow, that was insanely deep and really insightful and really good. But I completely agree. Music has definitely helped me as a teenager going through like some tough times. It's definitely helped, me sort out my feelings. Like, what does this emotion mean? Oh, this artist is going through that same thing.
Yes.
This is kind of how they interpret that. I have a better understanding now of what I'm feeling, so I completely agree with that. I think it is definitely something that is beyond us.
Oh my god.
Um,
So beyond.
um, I was listening to your song "Love Is Crazy," and I
Mm.
know you had posted on Instagram that you wrote it for your wife. So, how? First of all, what was it like when you played it for her for the first time? Like, how did she? How? What was her reaction like? I love that song. I think it's
Thank
absolutely
you so much.
beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. She loves all the music. She's just, like, hyper supportive. I think with her, she has this tendency to downplay, um, like, she doesn't want to, assume that certain songs are about her even when they obviously are, which is funny. But, I think she just, I think she knows that my songs, especially when they're about her, are the retelling of our story, and in particular, that song is, like, the retelling of the beginning of our relationship, or even this periods before we were in a relationship where I had feelings for her openly, and she didn't reciprocate those feelings quite yet. I mean, I'm talking about when we were, like, 16, 17 years old, but
Uh,
I think it's fun. I think she finds it fun. I think I find it fun. We're like, this is, as you go through the human experience, you experience so many emotions, you learn so many things in your narrative. And I feel that with these songs, I'm able to share chapters from my past
mhm.
that are not just my chapters, but our chapters, hers and mine. And it's kind of beautiful for the world to sort of learn from our love story in some ways.
Yeah. No, I'm married too, and I think that's probably why I love the song so much. It's like, it's it's one of those songs that you'd like reminisce like on your experience.
Yeah.
Like
It's a
I just
nostalgic song in some senses.
it is, yeah. So love it. Like great job on that.
Somebody wrote the other day in an article that the song feels like an early 2000s like rom-com, and I took that as such a deep compliment
Yeah.
because there's something like it's true. And I kind of felt that subconsciously, but it didn't hadn't come to the forefront of my mind until somebody wrote that. And like I think it was the A1234 article. And for me, I was just like, man, like this is this is like a this is the love. This is what love felt like when I was like a kid. This is like a transitionary song. Like yeah, I imagine like right in the middle of like Boy Meets World or like Sister Sister when there's like a loving moment. Like that's the song that comes. The guitar from the beginning of Love Is Crazy just comes in like down, 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 down. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like for me. I was like, okay, I feel it.
Yeah. It's definitely nostalgic. So I know that you've released like string of singles on Spotify. But do you plan on like releasing an EP or like an album at some point?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Is
I
that in
want
the
to.
works?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep releasing singles all throughout 2021, and then probably catalog them as an EP.
Okay.
And then, like in post, I'll just come up with some creative name that I think fits all of them, you know. And then, in terms of albums, I feel like that's a 2022 goal. I would just like to continue at this point. I think the best thing I can do for myself as an artist is to continue to put out as many singles as I can, put my whole heart and soul into them, let them grow my platform, let them grow my experience, and then become a better artist in the making of them all, in the construction of them all. And that way, by the time 2022 comes around, I can start really putting my mind towards like, okay, let's make an album that's not just made up of a bunch of good songs, but that tells one cohesive story.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely understand that. I love projects that tell a story from beginning to end. And, um, this is probably a bad example, but like Childish Gambino's Camp, um,
Mhm.
his that album was like a full on like story from beginning to end that you could actually like visualize. I love that kind of stuff. Um, so I'm looking forward to what you come up
Thank
with.
you.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. Like who helps does anybody help you like make your music, like produce your music and all that stuff? Like, what's that like?
So here's how it works. I'm not a producer, although I'd love to learn production at some point. But just not economical to spend my time doing that right now. So I have found um, a blessing from God in my producer. His name is Kevin Spears. This dude is the man. He's just like beyond being an incredible producer. He's just like a really pure soul. And I think that was super important to me, was to find somebody who could produce my music that I could get down with on a spiritual level.
Mhm.
And that dude, shout out Kevin. Kevin, if you're watching this, couldn't do it without you, bro. And so like he just has this deep understanding of music in a way that I don't, but also this humility where he's able to like, we're able to, like, I'm able to be producing with him because there isn't this like power imbalance where it's like,
Yeah.
he understands that I don't understand the things he's doing. So
Yeah.
he's, looking down on me. It's more like, no, like we're on the same level and we're creating something as beautiful as we can together. So Kevin's really the only dude I make music with the exception of like a lot of times I'll have producer friends that I've made on social media and I
Mhm.
might buy or lease a beat from them. And then even still, even if I were to buy at least a beat from them, I'd still work on the song with Kevin. So that's how that works on a music level. And then on a creative level, my team is even bigger than that. I've got a videographer, a graphic designer. They're both my brothers. So Issa and Celine.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. It's always good to have like family that does that stuff, and it makes things a lot easier, I think, and a lot more comfortable.
100%.
Um, yeah. So who do you listen to on a regular basis now? Like I know with the lockdown, it kind of like exposed a lot of people to different things in general. So have you found any new artists that you like?
Yeah. I found some new artists and I've been diving into some artists that I never listened to before. Um, I've been listening to a good amount of John Bellion. Like to
Yeah.
me, like his music is that spiritual music that I was talking about earlier, is that like speak to the soul type music, healing music. Um, I've been listening to good amount of Mac Miller. I've been listening to good amount of Amine. Amine, especially during quarantine, especially last year, was like for me the energy I needed.
Yeah.
And like I was something in his music that's just like bounces, like not just the production, but like the way he crafts his his lyrics is just
Yeah.
it's something to inspire fresh artists. If there was like any new artist that somebody, if there's like a new artist and they wanted someone to look up to, like look up to Amine, study Amine's craft. Like you'll find wisdom in a lot of what he does. Um, and then in terms of like new artists, um, let me think. I want to give you like a really I found Yeba during quarantine, even
Yeah.
though she's not a new artist, but man, she is powerful. Like she's so incredibly powerful and her vocals are just like ethereal.
Is it
Um
YEBA?
Yebba. Definitely check out Yeba. She is the shit. Um I've been listening to a good amount of Bob Marley. Um and then you know what? I just watched Bo Burnham's Inside. Have you watched it yet?
No, I keep meaning to.
Okay, you
I
need
heard
to.
like a few songs from it and I was like, this is so on point. I need to
Yes.
watch it. Yeah.
Yes. So I was super into Bo Burnham during like the Vine days and even after the Vine days, but obviously he took like a break. So
Mhm.
I wasn't as in touch with what he was doing. And then my boy Issa was like, yo, you gotta watch his special on Netflix. I was like, all right, maybe I'll watch it. I was like, I just put it on for like 10 minutes. I was like, let's see if if this is something I want to finish. Man, I've watched it like 5 times. And like even though he's a comedian, there's some like he's a musical comedian and like there's something in the songs he made that is speaking so deeply to like different aspects of the human experience that I find myself just, especially the song That Funny Feeling, I find myself just replaying it in my head. Um, Other artists, you know who I found during quarantine? My producer, Kevin Spears, who is also an artist who makes
Seriously?
incredible music. Yes, he makes incredible music. And I want to give Kevin a shout out. His song Most Days, that's probably my favorite song that I found during quarantine. It's just so groovy.
Oh, stop.
Like,
I actually have that song saved on here.
no way.
Yeah, I have
That's
no
my
idea.
boy. That's my boy.
That's
That's
so
my
cool.
producer. He's a
Okay.
he's a producer, but at the same time, like he's every bit as talented as an artist. And you know who else I found? Nick D. That's one of my boys that we're friends. We met through social media, through TikTok and Instagram. And man, he's just killing it right now. But even beyond just the songs he has that are going viral at the moment, he's got like a deep catalog of
Oh, I've heard his songs on TikTok. Yep.
popping right now.
Yeah.
He is really popping right now. But even before he was popping.
Yeah. I have him. I followed Yeba, Kevin Spears, and Nick D on here.
All right, I put you
So
on that. I did my job. I answered the question. And you
yes.
know what? Let me put you on to one more.
Okay.
Lizzie McAlpine. Lizzie McAlpine. Check her out. She's just ridiculous. Like she is one of the most talented young artists in the world right now. And that's not even an exaggeration. That's underselling it. From a songwriting level, from a vocal level, from a um, just like just pure artistry level. Like she's wild.
Yeah. Awesome. I always love finding new artists, you know, and especially artists that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of, you know. I love that. Because then it's not like they're not like what's the right
It's
way
not
to
oversaturated.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So
you should hit me up with some new artists whenever, just whenever you got it, like new people, send them to me because sometimes I feel that I get caught up in the same loop of
yeah.
like 5 to 10 artists, and then at a certain point you start like not even enjoying their music as much if you just don't branch out.
Yeah, it's like almost that sense of like dread because it's like the same
Yeah,
people all the time. I
right.
completely
Good
understand
vibe.
that. Yeah. Um, well, I want to thank you so much for being on. Is there anything else you want to shout out or say?
No, just thanks for having me. This was an honor. I'm just constantly and perpetually humbled by the fact that people want me on their platform. I still don't really understand it, but at the same time, it's just always a blast. Like I beyond just like obviously as an artist, it's great to get exposure and join different platforms and like expose yourself to different audiences. But beyond that, like the conversations are so much more refreshing and just
Yeah.
meeting people, like especially during quarantine, we didn't meet a lot of people. So
Yeah.
even though we're not in person right now, I feel like I've met you and it feels
Yeah.
like I met a new friend. So thanks.
Yeah, of course. I feel the same way. And like I said, genuinely love your music. So it was an honor for me to have you on here. So thank you for doing this.
Of course.
Yeah.
We'll run
And
it back. We'll run it back. When next time I drop, like when the full EP is out, we'll run it back.
yes, yes, I love that. I love following up with artists after they've like dropped some new stuff or a few years down the line and just see where they are, you know? I love
Hey,
that. So I'm looking forward
I'm
to it.
aligned.
Thank you. And for everyone watching, follow Swagger RS for the latest in music, fashion, and creative culture. Thank you for listening to this episode of Time Out, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to follow us at Swagger RS on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.